Universal China Center, which is a non-profit organization dedicating itself to teach a proven set of guidelines on how to live to our fullest potential based on the oldest Chinese medical book, Yellow Emperor's Yin and Berkeley China has been serving UC Berkeley for many years, mostly by offering the China meditation classes, having a one-day retreat or public event like today. And today we have our speaker, our chief instructor, Donald, who's also going to help to talk about how to uncover our hidden power through the practice of universal China. And this 5,000-year-old Yellow Emperor's Incantation is the most important document in the traditional Chinese medicine. And how it was completed has been remaining a mystery. Because how do people at that ancient time develop such a sophisticated medical theory that is far beyond our understanding today? So if this theory and model are correct, then there is still a vast expanse of frontiers within us yet to be explored. So for the next 90 minutes, I would like to invite you to open your mind and explore the wonders of the human living system. Please.
Wow. The wonders of the human living system. Nervous subject. All right. What we're going to talk about today is to share with you, to uncover a hidden potential within. Not out there, but within. And to live to our fullest and naturally. The reason I have quotation marks on those two terms is exactly what's fullest. We only know fullest, we only experience fullest if we know what our full potential is on. So we will address that. And secondly is naturally. Naturally meaning with the least amount of effort. Naturally means we will be able to live automatically. We will be able to let our true potential shine through automatically with least amount of human intervention. Okay? And earlier I was chatting with the audience about what do you think the full potentials are. Someone said happiness. Someone said spiritual. And in general, the audience agreed you can't have happiness without being spiritual. Happiness is a spiritual element. Anyway, that was the general discussion. So anyone else wanted to talk about what do you expect the hidden potential to be, assume it is to be, and how do we live to the fullest our potential in a natural fashion? Anyone has any expectation? All right. At the end, we will introduce you a practical way to be able to help every one of us to live into a happy spiritual state. Now, I will also address the Tan way. I will explain what that word is. And conceptualized by the Yellow Emperor. How many of you have not heard of Yellow Emperor? Okay. I want to share with you that everything I talked about here is not from me, not from my teacher, not from my teacher's teacher. Everything I share with you today, you can Google, Wikipedia, it's readily available online. Just not very popular because it's been so old and so difficult to understand for a long time. Yet, you will notice there's a lot of Chinese cultural habits, practices is based on the same Yellow Emperor. Yellow Emperor is the first emperor of China. At that time, we don't have a nation. We just had a lot of tribal living 5,000 years ago. In Chinese, his name is called Huangdi. The reason it's called yellow because the earth is yellow. Not that he looked yellow, but the earth was yellow. He is the emperor for the yellow ground. It's an honorary name. It's called the Yellow Emperor. So if you Google Yellow Emperor's inner canon, you will find Wikipedia has a lot of articles about that. Okay? And the document was not found until 500 BC. Okay? So it is also called, that's the document. In other words, for about 2,000 some years, nobody has any idea. And half the document actually was lost in China. It was passed to Japan and passed to Korea, and the Chinese need to negotiate. I don't remember the dynasty. You need to negotiate with Japan and Korea and get them back. So that was an interesting historical story, but I don't want to get into that. Can you get to the next slide? All right. Well, this is basically what we're going to cover today, so that you'd be able to scope it. So if you need to leave, you get bored, and you don't want to continue, I fully understand. First, we're going to define exactly what does fullest mean. Second, we're going to talk about how do we usually do in our lives. Okay? And thirdly, we're going to talk about some extreme examples. Those examples you are utterly familiar. All right? And the fourth, we're going to talk about comparing to those extreme examples. What are our hindrances to get there? One gentleman talked about maybe stress. How do we de-stress? Yes, I think everybody in the room would agree stress is one of our hindrances to get our true potential shine through. And the fifth one, we're talking about the ancient wisdom of China. It's very well documented. I hope everyone can. I'm not an expert on that, only just very superficial because it's a very deep book. You will know why. And then next we're going to talk about our hidden potential. How did the Chinese define our hidden potential? They gave it a nickname. As you know, Chinese like jewels and diamonds and things. They call it the three treasures. Just a label, and we will explain what that is. And then we're going to talk about the formula of natural sustainability. In other words, if you experience in your life, you will notice that we actually have peak and valleys. In other words, our peak performances are not sustainable. How do we be able to peak our performance in a sustainable fashion and in a natural fashion? That's why I covered the two words, fullest and naturally, to go back to the original title. Any questions so far? All right. But we're also going to talk about, we're going to let everyone look inward and discover your hidden potential. When we get to number 8. All right. And then we're going to talk about scientific references. I don't know how many of you agree with the following statement. Science is really catching up to spirituality. Science is really have a very small peek at the wisdom of the universe. Science discovered the world is filled with 94% of dark energy and dark matters. So science is really trying to catch up. How many agree with that statement? All right. I won't say science is useless. I will say science is still very limited as you can see at the present time. And how many agree with that statement? Okay, thank you. All right. You can smile, you can peek, blank, but just a reference. Everything's relative. There's no statement absolutely true. It depends on the context, the emotion level, and the background of knowledge and experiences. Things are defined. We're going to talk about experience the energy within you. We're going to give you a little experiment. So you say, wow, I didn't know I have that. I hope you'll be surprised at what you'll find. And then we're going to talk about how to relate to this concept of time. What this time will do. How is it defined? And again, those are just descriptions. And whatever I say is not important. What important is what you discover about yourself. That's important. Right? And then the last, we're going to introduce to you the special time practice, composed of several components. Any questions? Do you think this basically covers the topic? Any other expectations? Don't throw pies at me. I'm very limited. My knowledge is very small. English is not so eloquent. I'm trying to communicate something I have learned. All right, next slide. Fullest. What is fullest? Can you just go down all the way? Thank you. All right. I guess this covers most of the fullest in your mind. Let me know whether I missed any. Fullest meaning, when we live our life to the fullest means we'll be able to truly know who we are. We'll be able to make our best decision in life effortlessly. We'll be able to live out the fullest of our true potential, be inspired and truly creative in writing, invention, music, composition, be wise in solving all problems ourselves and our loved ones. I think there's some more on that. And then play sports, music, chess in the zone. We're able to solve all problems on Earth. Would you agree that more or less what we expect what fullest is? Sounds kind of abstract, doesn't it? Sounded, to live this fullest sounded somewhat idealistic and perfectionist, doesn't it? How many agree with that statement? Thank you, I agree with that statement too. But if you look at the quotation marks and see, the difficulty is really not the statement itself. The difficulty is in the quotation marks. What is truly know? How do we truly know who we are? How do we actually make decisions effortlessly? How do we actually live to the fullest of our potential? Those are the tough ones. Be inspired. How do we be inspired? How do we be truly creative? How do we solve problems effectively without any side effects, without any residual problems? Right? And how do we play sports, music, and chess in the zone? I mean, how many of you have ever had experience in the zone? Okay? So we cannot be in the zone all the time. How many agree with you that statement? Thank you. So we want to be in the zone 24/7, don't we? You like that? I like that too. So what we wanted to do is be able to give you some guidelines. How do we be able to accomplish all that in a reasonable fashion, in a workable, practical fashion, if we do it diligently? The idea is diligently. We will address that some of the time. So this is basically talk about fullest. Okay? Questions? All right. Now, how do we usually do it these days? Just one. Okay. I don't want to give up the secrets too much. Read a lot of books and search the web, right? Everybody does that. How do we do that? How do we do next? We think hard, really think hard, okay? Day and night we're thinking and try to do, how do I solve this problem? How do I do that problem? We all do that. What do we do next? Drink coffee or Red Bull or whatever you can, or smoke cigarettes or, I don't know, you might be able to have some sleepless, something we can take so we don't have to sleep so we can think overnight, so we can cram through the exams or the final. And how else do we do now? We take a shower and bath and sauna, right? And we sleep well, Some people believe in sleeping well. And we get a massage, okay? And we also do take a pill of some sort, whatever pill that is, that will help you. And do yoga. Right? And then we also eat a light meal, a full meal, make us drowsy. So these are the secret recipes that everybody's aware of. This is how we live our life. Trying to live our life to the fullest these days, correct? More or less. Any other secret recipe you want to share with everybody? All right, let's continue. Anything else? Okay. Now what's the success rate? How many of you think the success rate is more than 50%? Nobody. See? The success rate is not very high, right? Everybody agree with that? Yeah? Just occasionally, it's a hit and miss, okay? Now, maybe we try all of them. I assume that everybody have tried all of them. But do we have enough energy and time to try all of them? Would all of them trying would work? Not sure. Either, right? So there's really no formula or no knowledge about what exactly is our true potential and how do we actually get our true potential to shine through. If we don't know how, we'll never be able to have a way to do this. Okay. Agree so far? Okay. Disagree, please raise your hand or throw a pie on me. Now in one soup, actually borrowed from my brother. No, okay. Next. Well, what happens to the rest of the... Okay. And the key is sustainability. That's sort of the hot word these days, you know? The key word is really sustainability and repeatability. Is that what we want? We will rather have 70% of success, but as long as we can sustain and repeat, because the success rate is so low. Okay? So that's what we're going to address. Now, let's look at some of the extreme examples. I call them the eureka moments. When Archimedes announced eureka, he was in a... Am I too old for that? I mean, that was my fun. I went to school 40 years ago. That's I remember. But Archimedes was in a bathtub. Correct. What was he doing? He was taking a bath. Because he was taking a bath, you got to me. He was not studying. He's not doing researching on the web. He's not thinking very hard. He's not taking coffee. He is taking a bath. But he's not doing yoga. He's not taking any pills. All right. Now let's look at Kobe Bryant. He did 82 minutes, 82 points in a game. Right? Is that correct? So how did he achieve that? Every time he shoots, that he hesitates for one moment, saying, should I this or should I that? He's going to miss the shot. So he did that because he was in the zone. Is that correct? All right. Now, Tiger Woods the same way. I mean, you're like, how can you last? Because your reputation is not so good. All right.
I don't want to put down here.
We also have Michelangelo. Wow. He saw that person in the stone. How did he able to see that person in the stone? Study. Drinking coffee, beer, wine. Italy love wine. Maybe that's what it is. My wife's taking a lot of resveratrol lately. Seems to be that's very hot from grapes, Italian grapes. Anyway, how did Beethoven compose Symphony No. 9? If you think about these extreme examples, Einstein, how did he come about with that? Would you agree all these have something in common? All these great moments have something in common? What is that?
Oh, man.
Sorry? All men. Oh, I apologize. That must be my Asian upbringing. Yeah. I'm glad I did not put a hope there. So. Anything else? Inspiration. Who said that? So I guess you see the point is that to truly have a revolutionary achievement, something out of the ordinary, something no one else will be able to do, we have to be inspired from within. All we have to do, if we have a gradual progress, a gradual development, that is progress. That is not extreme accomplishment. Agree? Am I losing anybody here? Not yet. Okay. So, it's outside the box. If you think about it, most of this is outside the box, including music, is outside the box. Except perhaps Monet, his picture's up there. If you look at his painting at the museum over there, you see it gradually from more focused to detail to more foggy and impressionistic. But the rest of it are outside the box, inspired at that moment. Now, we call it the body, mind, and spirit is in the zone. In other words, at that moment, you don't feel your body. At that moment, you're not thinking. At that moment, your spirit, your body, and mind, you can feel as one. Any object to that statement? And I truly believe everyone in this room had once that kind of moment. When we have that moment, I mean, how many of you had a moment in the zone? In other words, all of a sudden something you are inspired, all of a sudden that you had an idea, you know, oh, that's the guy I can make. Or I want to go that direction and start this research project. Or, yeah, why did I go this way instead of go that way? How many? Any one of you had a moment of inspiration in once in your life? Please raise your hand. Yeah, thank you. Now, let me ask you. At that moment, you had that click, you had that eureka moment. Did you have second thoughts?
No.
Who was it? Congratulations. Because most of us have a second thought. Let me show you why. Based on my experience, I'm not sure that's what I want to do. Based on my knowledge, I have no idea why I feel that way, why I think that's the way it should be. Yeah? And based on emotion, I don't know, am I over my mind and am I normal? Why do I think that way? Why do I feel that way? Why do I have that kind of feeling? And based on my failures, oh, I failed similar situation before. Should I continue? Based on my upbringing, my mother told me never marry a blonde. Just kidding. I mean, a lot of times we live for our parents, for our names, for brothers, sisters, okay? Based on suspicion. That really is so far off. I mean, so far-fetched, so impractical. That could never happen. We're always trying to be in the middle ground, to be secure, to be conservative, to be safe, so that we don't make any mistakes, so that people is not going to call us names, give us a label of some sort. That's all insecurity. A lot of times prevented us from being connected, truly connected with that new environment, so we can expand our horizon into a new domain we're not familiar with. How many of you disagree with that? I just, these are, none of this I mentioned to you, I pointed out to you, is special kind of information. We all experience this. Okay. Now we also have arrogance. I have something better. Oh, this is nothing. I can outdo myself. Insecurity I talked about. We talk about impulses. We talk about no more. Anyway, that's to illustrate a point, is that when we have the critical moment of thinking, it is us. Stop us from going forward.
I keep breaking my crayons.
Is that correct? Don't break our crayon. So how do we conquer ourselves so that our inspirations can be sustained? That's the challenge, would you say, in general? Let's talk about what's our inner potential. Based on Yellow Emperor's inner canon, in Chinese it's called 黄帝内经, I should have spelled that out. But if you Google that, you'll be able to find it on Wikipedia. And it's 5,000 years of track records. And based on this book, the book actually was found only 2,500 years ago. You're going to hear the rest of the thing on the next line. All these Chinese practices are developed from that book. Have you heard of Qigong? How many of you heard of Qigong? How many of you heard of Feng Shui? How many have heard of you Tai Chi? Wow, you guys, I mean, people are not very, always very wide. Hearts are open, willing to try everything. And the Tao. Okay? Acupuncture. It's all from the book. The book. Okay? It's damn hard to read, so I actually have people teach me, some of the words because it's so hard to read. So this is the book documented how we, who we, what we be able to live in a harmonious fashion within ourselves, with the universe. Because I want to talk about the background a little bit about Yellow Emperor's inner canon. As you know, Yellow Emperor was the first emperor in China. Right? At that time, there's nothing. There's no medicine. There's no, everything was just beginning of the Chinese culture. So the Yellow Emperor says, the first thing I need to do is get my people fed. Gotta have some kind of food control management. So he got his people together and find a way, says, oh, we better plant in spring. Oh, we better harvest in autumn. That's why we look at the Chinese calendar, they are lunar based. Because the lunar calendar are very close to the natural flow of the seasons. Okay, I mean, that's also, as I said, none of this is for me, but you can always dig deeper if you want to. And then he said, how can my people fed? How do I prevent them from getting sick? Right? And then he discovered the only way for us to not to get sick if we know how does our body function. If we know how does our body function with the environment. Because as you know, if you're in a humid environment, you have easier to get arthritis. A dry environment, your skin's going to hurt, crack, right? And too much sun, or not enough sun, everything affects our health. So our health is definitely related to the universe. So he documented that also. And let me ask you this question about preventive care in the United States. I'm not talking about Obamacare, I'm talking about preventive care. When you do preventive care, what do? You go to a doctor, do mammogram, cancer screening. Yeah? Any kind of screen, every kind of screen. What does those screen do? Those screening actually, according to Dr. Andrew Weil, is disease discovery. You have no disease. If you ask your doctor, what's your definition of being healthy? The doctor says, well, you're healthy, you have no disease. Now, how many of you think there's something wrong with that statement? So, the Chinese concept of health is organ health. We need to have healthy lung, healthy liver, healthy kidney, healthy prostate, I mean everything, all the hormonal glands, everything has to be healthy, then you're healthy. All this muscular activity, cardiovascular activity, a lot of sports people, professional sport people die young because their internal organs are damaged. So the Chinese exercises like Tai Chi, very slow, because we don't focus on the muscle or the bones. We focus on the internal organs. So when the internal organs are healthy, your bone will be healthy. Your muscle only really needed to support your body. So if you research, you will find Chinese health is total holistic health. It's documented also here. What else is documented here? It documented, okay, I got this little problem on this organ. What causes that? Oh, the other two organs was not functioning very well. So therefore, you probably heard the yin and yang and the 5 phases, the fire and the metal and the water. And how many of you heard of those? The 5 elements. Yeah? So we're talking about a balance of our internal self. And then there's the balance with the external world. Find the 2 balances. In other words, the universe is an ecosystem. And we all know that now, but that's a new word. I mean, 5,000 years ago, there's no such word. We call that harmony. Within us, we also have an ecosystem. How many of you think you can command the body any way you want? See? No one. The body does not belong to us. The body has its own life. You have to be nice to it. Because if the body belongs to you, if you say, don't get tired, you should not get tired. Right? If you say, now wake up, you know. Does it wake up? I mean, does the body really listen to you? The body does not. Okay. So we have to treat body as our best friend and understand what the body's needs. We have to respect it and follow its rules. And because we're actually living inside, we borrowed, it's our borrowed house or leased house. You didn't pay for it, so it's a borrowed house. Right? So how do we live in our body, in a borrowed body, so that it will give us all the support we need? We have to follow how the body functions. So these are all documented in this book. Okay. Please. Thank you. We're going to give you some very abstract concepts of what's in there. The 3 treasures, just one of them. Thank you. These, you won't be able to see it. Just like acupuncture, you know? They put needles in you and you change. So you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to figure out, at least I couldn't, maybe one of these days, science and medical professionals, be able to have instruments to test it. I do understand the Japanese are working very hard to get some of this stuff documented in a scientific fashion. But if you ask any Chinese who speaks Chinese, they have heard of these 3 words. How many of the Chinese have heard of this word? Okay, how many of you really know what that is? See? It's a cultural thing. Everybody heard, but they're really not too sure what that is. Even though we have Tai Chi and acupuncture and all that kind of good stuff, but we don't really dig into it. It's limited. The Chinese culture is, listen to me, son. You'll be well if you follow my command. So we don't really ask questions. So since I'm a graduate from Berkeley, I challenged everything. So I got a little bit deeper into this stuff. Now let's talk about the 3 treasures. These are our hidden potentials. And our hidden potential, as the lady said earlier, is it spiritual? Is it happiness? I can definitely for sure to share with you, it's invisible. But you can feel it. So we're going to do that next, okay? Now, the first is called Jing. Jing is the essence. The essence within our body, within our spirit. The Jing is like a nuclear core in a nuclear power plant. Okay? So when the Jing is depleted, it's like a nuclear core depletes at a certain rate. I was told by some Chinese medical doctor like 200 years is how long this Jing will continue to be depleted. But he also said, as soon as you have stress, 50% gone. Any kind of stress, they got to live at 100. Okay? So consider Jing is a nuclear core. The only thing we can do is conserve its depletion. Okay? When we think, it's enough quota for the day, don't waste anymore. Okay? So that is the concept of Qi. The next one is called Qi. How many of you have not heard of the word Qi? Everybody heard of Qi? Wow, I don't need to waste my time. Qi is like the electricity Where did the qi from? This is electricity from the qi, from our nuclear core. We have the electricity, we'll call it the life force, flowing in our body. And the last treasure is called sun, which is awareness, which is focus. And sun actually literally means God in Chinese. But you gotta understand the Chinese God is the Almighty. There's no capitalized God or Christian God or Buddha God. But just in general, because the Yellow Emperor believed there is some force that built the nature and built us, and we need to coincide with that. So call it. Now, we're going to talk about any questions about this? No? All right. We're going to talk about their interactions. In other words, our well-being are defined by these three, based on the Yellow Emperor's inner canon. If we know how they interact, we'll be able to sustain our life in a balanced, aware, energetic fashion. And we have a practice deal with all three at the same time. Like it? Like it? Yes? All right. First thing I'm sure you can see is the red means the qi or the core. It depletes at a certain rate. And what does that do? It generates the qi, which is the energy. Okay? And then they both support the awareness or the sun. Sun is our feeling that are we tired? Are we happy? Are we hungry? The sun actually can feel we have qi or not. I might need to be more conservative on my depletion. So once these three are in balance, and later on, which I will explain, so you'll be able to feel how you feel about your energy, how you feel about your awareness. Everyone have those kind of experiences. You'll be able to actually somehow witness yourself, the interrelationship of the three. And we should continue to the next one. I don't want to move too much. So the sun monitors and monitors. But yet, you have to see, if the qi is depleted, the sun doesn't work. If the qi is depleted, the sun doesn't work. So these three have to be in a balance of some sort. Then they constantly monitor each other and support each other. It's an interaction. Just like the Chinese organs. The Chinese medicine deal with all these organs. Okay? All right. Next slide. I want to give you some examples. I don't know how good these examples are. So let me know if you have questions, okay? Because I'm not too sure these examples are that good. First one is that we had a quick mile or a walk. Most of us do that, right? Do you feel energized after that? Yes, right? Not exhaustive kind, just a quick walk and get something going, or maybe 15 minutes of yoga, right? We feel energized. And that time, did you find you can actually be more productive? You can actually focus on details better. So this tries to illustrate the point is that our awareness is supported by the energy level. And I have an opposite example. I was originally at USC, then I was transferred here, and then at the first, I think, three months, I would have to drive back to Los Angeles and play poker with my little college buddies at that time. 25 cents maximum and a nickel a bet. I can play 3 days in a row without sleeping. Anyway, so when we drive back from Los Angeles to Berkeley, the body, did you exercise? You didn't exercise. You just sit there, right? You didn't really exercise. But can you focus? Because you completely depleted your awareness. You can no longer, if you give you a very complicated math problem, you won't be able to focus on it. I won't be able to focus on it. Now, as I said, I'm not too sure these two examples how good they are. Everyone, I mean, any issue with this? You get the point? Yes. All right. So, let's talk about the other cases. After lots of substances, you know, lots of coffee, a lot of sleepless pills, a lot of energizing and Red Bulls, I don't know what's the modern day stuff. What will happen to us? I'm sure you all agree there will be side effects and residual damages. In other words, based on the traditional Chinese medicine book, as soon as you feel hungry, as soon as you feel a little bit tired, as soon as you feel something, your body is already imbalanced. You already overextended yourself a little. You always have to maintain tip-top position. You have to maintain tip-top balance. Is that clear? That's, if you talk to any Chinese medicine doctor, that's what they tell you. So in other words, don't eat after you feel hungry. You should eat, feeling a little bit hungry, you should eat right away. In other words, if your awareness, in other words, your son, tells you a little bit tired, you should go to bed. You know? Don't continue on, I don't know, David Letterman, you know? But it's too late, you know? Anyway, so the idea is we be able to feel from within, whether we have focus, whether we have energy. Now, how do you be able to feel? What part of your function feels the depletion, feels the energy level, feels the focus? It is your awareness, it is the sun. So what we needed to do is cultivate that, okay? And keep check and balance. It's really a check and balance system so that we maintain our optimum state, okay, of our focus, awareness, at the same time. Then if we do that, we're in tip-top shape. This is the natural way to maintain, to sustain our tip-top level. Questions? Am I going too fast? No? Okay.
But how can you apply this in this modern world? Because it's so good that if I feel tired, okay, I'm going to do that, but in my life, I can't do that. I mean, I tell myself, okay, I feel tired, so I'll do my...
Yeah, c'est très dommage, non?
Oui, c'est ça.
Well, I cannot give you a detailed answer. It is up to every one of us to shuffle our schedules, based on our awareness and physical conditioning, to be able to survive those environments. And as you know, the human world by nature is very greedy. Everybody wants to pay less and get more. Okay? So you will always be asked by people around you, on top of you, on the side of you, say, deliver more. Sacrifice this and that. How do we deal with that? It requires to have the check and balance here and get our wisdom up. In other words, when we are in the zone, we'll be able to be in sync with the wisdom at that moment. And you'll be able to know exactly what to say. But the details need to be processed through this limited intellect. Any other questions? All right. So this give you a little bit example about how we actually can feel things. So please be precious about that awareness. In that critical moment, it comes just like that. And do not hesitate. You got to grab onto it. Do not let your knowledge, experience, mother's command, or father's this and that, or brother's this, affect you. Because that's the truest inspiration. You wanted to continue on that path because it came to you for no reason, especially those who came to you for no reason. And if you can follow that, explore a little bit more, until you really stop, then don't. Okay. All right. Now, some scientific references. You all know that lady. You all know that TV program. Anyone doesn't know who that lady or TV program is? Please raise your hand. So you know all about Qi. You know everything already. All right. Now, what did Dr. Oz say? Alternative medicine deals with the body's energy, something that traditional medicine generally does not. We're beginning to understand that we know in our hearts the truth, but we could not measure. Meaning, do not really trust what we know in the books. Trust your instinct, trust your inspirations, trust your awareness, trust your feelings. That is something we have inside, all of us. And treasure that based on your book. Right? As we get better at understanding how little we know about our body, we begin to realize that the next big frontier in medicine is called energy medicine, integrative medicine, mind, body medicine. They're all the same stuff. Agree? I'm going too fast. So medicine world these days is so much on integrative medicine, energy medicine, mind, body medicine. A little bit behind. We're 5,000 years ahead. But does every Chinese know about this? No, not really. Agree? Not every Chinese know about this because you see, especially the new generation, because in China, it's very authoritative. You listen to your parents, your grandparents, they're the law. So my grandma always tell me, when you sweat, you don't want to be blown by this fan because it's not good for you. Don't drink ice water. I said, Grandma, but actually every command she told me was from the book because that's how she lived through the years. But we never listen because that against my addiction to instant comfort. So if this being around for 5,000 years, if acupuncture actually works, if you actually can feel your qi and feel your sun, feel your awarenesses, you should trust yourself and nobody else. Right? Now, also says, it's not the mechanical parts of the joints moving, it's not the chemistry of our body, it's the understanding of the first time how energy influences how we feel. At this moment, I feel like to share with you something I watched from Larry King Live one day. I don't remember which day it was, early part of the year or late last year. There was this doctor somebody on Larry King Live, a psychologist, a neuroscientist, and he said, we have this prefrontal cortex, and you make decisions for all this. Very analytical, very wise, very logical, and I can discuss in a very reasonable manner. Yes, I agree. No, I don't agree. I will agree to a certain action. I will reject a certain action in a very logical fashion. The prefrontal cortex fires at approximately 40,000 firings per minute. I don't know. Anyone may be more expert on this than I am, but so I won't share. The numbers could be wrong, but more or less that's the area. But he also said, this is a psychologist, our subconscious fires at 6 million times a minute. What does that mean? Our subconscious interrupts our thoughts. You know what? 100 times more. So, did you find that a lot of times you perfectly agree, but when the moment comes, you actually change your mind? How many of you do that? How many of you never did that? But anyway, that's something I just thought so interesting about how energy and our conscious and our actions, how we can hinder ourselves from to be truly, living a happy and spiritual and satisfied life. All right, just cycle. All right, what I'm going to do is do this. I'm going to try to do a chi experiment with everyone, right? So don't do it yet, and follow my instructions. It's just 1 minute. That's all it takes. Right? So what I want everyone to do is to follow. Now don't do it yet, okay? First, I want you to put your hands together, right? Focus on the center of your palm, right? That's what you want to do. For 1 minute, that's all. But you got to do it with your eyes closed, but don't do it now. Just put your hand together in the center of your hand, right? And with your eyes closed for 1 minute. Then, what I want you to do, when time comes, I will let you know. Then what you want to do is separate your hand slowly, okay? And then move one hand slowly. And tell me, what does the other hand feel? And I want you to stop this hand and move this hand. And if you feel something, whatever it is, change the distance. Can you feel something this way? Can may feel something this way. And try that. Let me know what you feel. Okay? Any questions? You want to try that? You don't have to if you don't want to try, but it's free. All right, let's do that. Put your palms together. Focus on the center of your palm. I'm going to turn on my cell phone so I know exactly when the minute comes. Just relax. Don't think about anything I said. Now continue with your eyes closed. Slowly open your hands. And one hand stationary, move the other hand. You can change the distance if you feel something. If you don't feel anything, make them closer. If you feel something, make them wider. Change the other hand, make the other hand stationary, and the other hand move. Okay. Anyone feels anything? Please raise your hand. Wow, more than about 50%. What did you feel?
A heat.
A heat.
Yeah.
So as you one hand move, the other hand can feel the heat.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Like an electric feeling, which is coming from here and then it's moving.
You can feel the circle. Like a
on the surface,
beam?
it's like a beam.
Like a beam.
And kind of light cutting.
Like a laser beam.
Not
Star
like-
Wars beam.
No.
Anybody else? Thank you. Yes.
Kind of quickly, steady,
Uh-huh. Say it louder, please.
quickly, steady,
Prickly, steady thing.
steady,
Steady.
steady, like sad.
Anybody else? That is, we call it the field of qi. People who do spiritual healing, people who do qigong, be able to cultivate that. And we will also share with you, if you go to her class, how to enhance that, how to cultivate that. That is qi. It's invisible, but you can feel it. Imagine you can redirect that energy into your organs. You can channel the qi along all the meridians. Instead of using a needle, you can use your mind. Okay, heart, stop pumping. No, I'm kidding. We can actually feel, cultivate, and enhance these energy in us. So, we also have a location in our body where the jing, meaning the core, is stored. In yoga, they call it chakra, and in Chinese medicine, we call it the acupressure points. There is an acupressure point in our body where the jing is located. We will teach you how to focus on that so that you'll be able to conserve, cultivate, so it does not deplete your life. We'll teach you how to be able to direct the chi all over the place. Now, which are the major areas we need to worry about? Obviously, the major organs. We're going to cover all that. Right? And then, as the energy throughout your body enhances, as you can be able to control the balance and manage it, your awareness rises. I already said, what is the awareness? It's called God. It is your inner God arises. Your inner spirituality arises. Does that make sense? When that arises, your inspirations are enhanced. Make sense? Questions? Clear? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where is the stuff located?
The chi.
No, not the chi, the other one.
The jing.
The jing.
Yes.
Where in the body is it?
We call it the navel chakra. But you have to come to the class to get the rest of it. If you Google the Chinese medicine, it's called Shen Jing, which is the kidney jing, but it's really not in the kidney. Okay. Just a name. Alright? Alright. Now, we all have experienced qi. Some of you did, some of you not, but believe me, you all have it. Okay? If you don't, you die. Alright? Because if you have no energy, all your body cell will collapse, all your bones will collapse, you die. Okay? We are alive, we are standing, simply because we have all this energy in ourselves. Okay? So now, that's just us. How about the universe? I mean, how do we relate us and the universe? It's important because we're part of the universe, you know? That choose the color number. No. All right. Somebody changed the picture. That's okay. When we see a natural picture like that, what do we see? Don't look at the images. Just look at that in a macro way. Don't look at it in a detailed macro way. I was taught by some artist. He said, life is like watching a picture. Okay? If you want to watch too closely, you see all the imperfections of the stroke. You should always stand back, watch the picture from far away. So I'm asking you to do that. Watch the picture from far away. What are you getting? Peace, harmony, life. Yeah? I mean, if you watch any picture, just out the window, you see all that. No matter what picture. That's why it's okay, they change the picture on it. She's an artist, I'm not. So she has the rights to change the picture. Alright. Can you have the next one? Alright. So therefore what we really see is harmony, equality, balance, growth, integrated. Agree? So that's our external field. It's like the planets, same thing. Imagine a comet coming to Earth. The comet has only two choices. It follows the law of the planet, it will become our second moon. If it does not follow the law of the planets, it will crash. Simple physics, agree? Just like a third party trying to get into a family. You either become the family or you crash. So if you look at that, same thing with a corporation in a workplace, right? If you enter in a corporation with people already having a certain relationship, if you don't know how to play by the rules, you crash. So in other words, these universal phenomenon not only apply to the planets, also apply to workplace, families, relationships, as well as our physical self. If you think about it, we may look kind of stable, but every cell in our body is working very hard. Every cell has atoms, nucleus. I'm not a scientist, I couldn't name all those fancy names, but they're all working hard. This steady state is a false situation because every steady state is maintained by dynamic energies. Agreed? Every steady state you see is maintained by dynamic energies. Now, you know where I learned that statement from? My roommate from Berkeley, Mr. Cheng back there. I told him I need a scientific term, and how do you describe that? And he taught me that. You remember? We were roommates over 40 years. It's amazing. Anyway, so therefore, what I wanted to share with you is that the universe has its laws. It gives everyone space to grow. It allows. It fulfills. Spiritual people said God provides. But it's the same thing, you have different labels. But if we are a tree in the desert, we have little tiny leaves because too much big leaves we dry up, right? If we are a tree in the Amazon, we need lots of leaves so we can go up and get the sunshine, get the moisture, get whatever we need to get. So in other words, being part of the universe, according to Yellow Emperor, we need to live in coherence with the law of the universe. And yet at the same time, that law is embedded in us. If we see somebody poor, we feel sad. That law of compassion, meaning let live, let grow, is in all of us. There are too many times we couldn't control ourselves, or we don't have enough resources to help, or we thinking too much by all the hindrances I list. Agree? My grandma always told me that if you see a young beggar, don't give him money because he can find a job. But actually, that's not correct. I learned in my later years in life. Everybody has their problems. Everybody has their issues. We don't want to judge people by their surface values. So these universal laws, these universal formulas, these universal relationships talk about balance, equality, like the sun, shines on everyone equally. Did I give you anything special treatment? So therefore, in us, we always think everyone should be equal. That's how our heart feels. And where does that feeling come from? I mean, when we were born, why are we embedded with this, gotta be equal? That's what we demonstrate a lot, right? So why is that? It's because we inherited with that characteristics. Okay? That's why the Christian says God in us. The Buddhism says Buddha is in you. I don't know what the Quran says. I'm sure there must be something similar. Okay, so we have those natural characteristics, the laws of physics, whatever you want to call them, the laws of biomedicine. I really don't know all the laws, but that's in us. Okay? So therefore, what we needed to do is internally as well as externally. In other words, when we be able to get ourselves in shape, in other words, our Jing and Qi and Sun are well balanced, we become a well-tuned radio. We'll be able to in sync with the nature's life force. We'll be able to get the synchronization. So the internal ecosystem is part of the subsystem as the external one. So actually this is the big ecosystem, agreed? Everything is balanced. It has its certain rules and laws. We just don't know enough about it, but we do know that's the way it is. And in our body the same way. We are a subset of the same ecosystem. So we'll be able to resonate. We'll be able to get it. We'll be able to feel it. We'll be able to be inspired. Did I confuse anyone? No. So far, okay? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right. Now, what's got to do with Tan. Back to our original subject. I don't know how much time. Did I go over 10? Almost. Yeah. The left half means an entity. An entity could be a spiritual entity, could be a physical entity, could be just a being. The right half of the Chinese character is singularity. In other words, the universe is really in essence one. Integrated, harmonious, functions together as a singular ecosystem. That's what Tan means in the original Chinese writing. We call it the universal life force and wisdom because that's the source of everything. Scientists call that the Big Bang. Created everything. This Big Bang, a singular explosion, created everything. Christian says God created everything. Buddhism didn't say Buddha created everything, but I guess we